Everyone, it's Luke here from Astro Awakening, and this is my new moon video for the Pisces new moon. I'm a little late because it's already passed. That happened this morning, but I'm living a very disrupted life at the moment. Trying to make my way back from Victoria to Queensland, obviously with the floods and everything that's going on. Big heart goes out to those personally affected. I hope you get the support that you guys need, and thinking of you. But yeah, personally, we were turned around just before Yamba on the M1 Pacific Motorway and spent a couple of nights in Sawtell, just south of Coffs. And now my partner had some work in Sydney, and we're like, okay, well, we can't get home, so we might as well go there. So I'm in Sydney now for a few days. So if you are in Sydney and you want to get a face-to-face with this beautiful guy here, Astro session, reach out. So, I'm going to be in around the city, Double Bay, Bondi area. Until next Tuesday, I think. And then hopefully by then, Wednesday, we can leave and head home. Whew, Pisces new moon. This is, okay, the thing about this moon and this Pisces season, this moon in particular, this is the moon of abundance. Now, in the New Age community, that word has been thrown around so much that people have a positive connotation to it. Abundance, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. And yeah, it can be. Absolutely. Abundance can be amazing. But, the reason I say this is because the new moon was pretty much closely conjunct Jupiter, the planet of abundance. But Jupiter's energy is very expansive, right? It's it tends to, wherever it goes, it just tends to make things bigger, right? So that can be great when it's things of your desire. Things of a positive nature or things that you want to bring into your life, right? And the pathway to abundance is gratitude, right? So giving gratitude, giving thanks to what it is that you have, what you currently have, and not necessarily worrying about what you don't. It's amplifying the energy of gratitude towards that which you do, which tends to bring more of those things in. Hence, gratitude and abundance and those types of things are generally the domain of Jupiter. So, and Jupiter in Pisces, we're dealing with Pisces themes. Pisces themes are at one-ment, right? It's the spiritual connection. The 12th sign of the zodiac is where there comes to this sort of completion. And in esoteric astrology, it's about the transcendence. Got there. The transcendence of what? Of the self, of this vessel, this identity, this image, this person I've been playing. Now think to yourself, over the last 12 months, who have you been? Who have you been playing? What nature, what character, who's the identity, who's the self-image that you have? And now it's the ability to sort of transcend that version of self. What are you going to keep? What qualities have you worked on that you've expanded on that you're going to keep and take forth into a new cycle? And what are you going to let go? And they can be let go into the sea of oneness, this Pisces theme. But along with Pisces comes with some of the shadow aspects, and we can be falling into helplessness and hopelessness and emotional overwhelm. Just like the video I put up the other day on my social media about the ocean at the moment. It's so powerful and the waves are so ferocious and it's like that. But yet the ocean itself is just a body of water. It's the energy that's moving through it. It's our emotions too. And it's like, what is stimulating our emotional state at the moment? Because if we're not careful, there can be external stimulation to our emotional state, and we can see ourselves being lost in sea. And, it comes in, then we can lose focus, clarity, discernment, judgment. We can feel like there's no hope. We can just be, the fog can descend and we just don't know which way to go. We just don't know who we are anymore and really become ungrounded. So as a side note, it's a really good time to make sure you're doubling down on your grounding practices. And no, it's not just walking around with your feet on the earth. Grounding is about coming into the present moment and into the body. And a beautiful way to do that is to do meditations. Obviously on the earth is even better, outside. For those of you not experiencing the ferociousness of the elements at the moment. But finding a quiet place and grounding, and then bringing your awareness to your physical senses. There's a reason why we have physical senses, and they're attached to our physical body. And our body and our physical senses perceive in the present moment. We can't hear something from yesterday. We can imagine the sound, right? But then we're using our imagination to invoke something that's no longer present. But if we listen with our ears, they're going to pick up the vibrational frequencies of sound. So we just isolate that sense. And then we move through our senses. We isolate smell. We isolate touch. You know, can you feel the sunlight or the cool breeze on your skin? You go through each of your senses, even taste. You know, sometimes when you're out inside, you can taste the smell of fresh grass. You can also maybe it's the coffee I've just finished drinking. And then last of all, finish with your eyes, where you come out of the meditation, open your eyes. And you're not trying to like analyze. This is the realm of the mind where we're trying to analyze things. We're trying to make sense of it. We're trying to, you know, label things, and we get into the thought realm, and we don't want to be in that place. Because in the thought realm, this is the wind blowing, and we can be just, and then the more the thoughts are activated, the more that they then stimulate the emotional body, and then all of a sudden we're back to square one. So we just want to look, we want to sense with our sight. In a second. Lost my train of thought there. I had to cut the recording for a moment. But back to the present moment. So coming back to the astrology, right? We are emotionally sensitive to external stimulus because Pisces has an association with the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of isolation, introspection, disconnection. So practice those things: isolation, disconnection, introspection. Disconnect from what's going on in the outer world. Find a quiet place. Find some solitude, reflection, right? There's a reason why when you're staring into a nice still pond of water, that you see yourself in the reflection. So quieten the mind, stabilize the emotional body, and reflect. Reflect on where you're at, where you've been, who you are, who you're becoming. And the process is as the elements of self that arise that are no longer, things that you want to continue forward into a new cycle. It's the releasing and letting go of those things. You're practicing to getting your emotional body into the vibrational state of that which you desire. And that's the goal of creating with will the life of your dreams and manifestations and all of those things that you desire. So it's a really good time to practice that. This Pisces energy, it's really intense. And we've also got, not only the sun, moon, and Jupiter in Pisces, we've got Neptune in Pisces. And this can expand our imagination. And as my mentor would say, beautiful Deborah, thank you, she would say, the imagination lays the tracks that our life will follow, our reality will follow. So, use your imagination, and we can create the life of our dreams. But the misuse of your imagination, and you literally can think up a nightmare. So now is the time to seed the imagination with inspiration, which is those things that align to that which you desire, right? And anything that is contrary to that is causing some sort of reaction within you, it's like, okay, we'll need to let that go, or maybe not need to consume those things if I'm unable to digest them, to process them without them making me unstable and what's going on in the world, especially with what's going on in the world. Which brings me to the next point, and it's probably going to be helpful if I personally look at the chart and I'm not looking at it. So let's skip to the little spot where I zip up into the corner of the screen and we bring up the astrological chart. For now, I'm going to zip through this. It's not going to be one of my usually long videos, but here is the astrology for now. We've got Cap, Aquarius, Pisces energy, lots of it. A little Uranus over here in Taurus, the revolution of a value system, the monetary system, this is ongoing. And I feel like we're moving into a zone or a time, especially when Venus and Mars move out of Capricorn and into Aquarius, they start to square this sort of Uranus in Taurus. So we're going to see some revolution, some sudden changes within the global financial or monetary system. And, if something like that comes out, it can be like, oh, look, it's the bad man, blame the bad man. We've got to jump on the bad man. So, they're pushing a narrative and a story because they want to control your thoughts, controlling your thoughts, but what you believe, and then they control the reality that you experience. So be mindful of that. I'm not going to get into camp to say this or that, whatever. There's a lot of bombardment of information at the moment, and it is an information warfare. But because we live in the age of information, ignorance is a choice now. Ignorance is a choice. So it's about using discernment, rationale, and insight and clarity. If you're going to go down those pathways and look into things, you've got to be able to objectify, which is taking yourself out and realizing too, when you are being presented with information that stimulates certain things, like a reaction, like that's crap, or like an alignment, it can be like, well, is that a bias? Is an internal bias I have? But we digress a little bit. We're getting off the track. What I wanted to bring your attention to was the Mars, Venus, Pluto, right? So this story, especially with Venus, because she's coming back to the point that she was at where she retrograded. So she's coming out of her shadow. She's the morning star at the moment, called Lucifer, the light bringer, or the false light bringer. But she's certainly bringing her light to what? To our relationships, and to, you know, any imbalance within our relationships, but also where there's a disalignment between that which we deeply want, or our deeply, you know, aligned values, and that reality that we find ourselves in. A lot of truths are coming to the surface, and we might find with Mars these sort of antagonists in this mix, as things coming out quite violently, suddenly, unexpectedly, or in a way that creates a more masculine response, should I say, you know, more aggressive type reaction, like, you know, Mars is like, you know, he's the needle, he's the sword, he's the scalpel, he's the piercer, he breaks the skin, he's the one that sort of like, you've got a big boil or something like that and you need it lanced. Mars is the lancer. He's like, right, this isn't healthy, this isn't good, let's. So, you know, not only is he the god of war, but it's also, you know, associated with destruction, construction in Capricorn, because we can construct and we can use this power with Venus, Pluto, Mars. We can use this power for positive construction and action towards our goals and goal orientation, right? So like, what is it that I need to do to move into alignment with that which I desire, or where can I see myself in the future and how do I get there? And now the action is about moving in that direction. But on the negative aspect of that, this could be sort of things coming to light in a very destructive way that create the transformational process. I would expect that we're going to see some big revelations and maybe some hidden secrets. So watch for distraction to that as new information comes to light. Watch for like, you know, the whole magician, like, you know, rabbit out of the hat trick, where he's sort of doing one thing and getting you misdirection is another way to look at it. False flag, those types of things, because there is a potential for this sort of volatility to come to a head. There's a lot of tension, at least there's a lot of tension within the circus that we call conceptual reality, presented to us by the mainstream pundits. But yeah, there's a lot of tension building. You can feel that. Will it come out now? Maybe the time to watch will be the 6th or 7th of March, as the moon moves into Aries and squares this sort of Capricorn energy. And then shortly after that, on the 7th, we have Venus and Mars moving into Aquarius, where Venus will pop ahead of Mars. And now she'll be in a position which in ancient astrology was called besiegement, where she'll be in the same sign as both the malefics, which is Saturn and Mars, and she'll be stuck in between them pretty much for a 3-week period. So that'll be an interesting period. And, you know, Venus rules over love and relationships and values, but also money. So I reckon the money story is going to take a shift when that happens, with Venus moving through Aquarius. On this new moon, you'll notice we've got Mercury sitting on Saturn. So be mindful, because the mind is going to be having this Saturn influence, and we can move towards pessimism or negativity. And we can just be really like, be very guarding the gates of the mind and where it's going, but also look into the outer world, because they can use really amplify the fear trigger at the moment, you know, and presenting things that you should be afraid of and fearful of, and, you know, which is that's the negative aspect of that Saturn, is like what we fear, we sort of, you know, we're challenged by what we fear, or we at least avoid what we fear. And that's that sort of boundary or challenge or a limitation or restriction that Saturn sort of brings into the image. But it is a time to take control of your thoughts, right? Take control of your thoughts and become the authority of those. So yeah, there is, there's another point that I was going to make. No, I think that's it for now. To recap, intense, emotionally volatile energy, powerful, very powerful. When we're in the emotional realm, emotions give power to creation, right? You have the fire aspect, which is the inception of the will, like the desire. And then you come in with the emotion that matches that, and it sparks that water and fire energy, sparks the air, creates the air, right? Because when you put water on a fire, it's steam. So it's the air, and the mind is stimulated, and the mind brings forth the blueprint for the creation into the earth, which is the element of earth. Think of it like this, is that you want to create a chair. You want to bring a chair, like, build a chair. Let's say you want to create a new way of sitting. So the first impulse is the desire to sit. That's the fire of desire. Oh, this would be nice to sit in this position. I want to build a chair that matches that. So firstly, it's the desire, which is the impulse, which is the fire, the light that sparks the initiation. And then comes in the feeling of like, oh, if I was sitting in that chair, God, I feel so relaxed right now. All my worries would disappear and I just feel at peace. So the emotion mixes with that desire, and you create, when you put water on fire, right, you create this steam, and the steam activates the thought realm, the mental realm, the thinking realm. This is where the formation happens, where we actually go, well, how would I build that chair? So then we go about constructing in our mind, using our imagination, our thoughts, and our rationale and reasoning, those things. Okay, how's this going to look? What do I need? What do I build it out of? And then comes forth the creation, the actual physical manifestation into the earth realm. The chair there now exists. So that's a process of manifestation. Water, which is emotions, is a powerful ingredient. Now, the powers that be that control conceptual reality, the matrix architects, they can't put water into the mix. Okay, they can't put water into it, but they can evoke it. They can evoke it in you. And they're using your emotion to create their reality. So be mindful of that, right? When you emotionally respond in pity or helplessness or anger, frustration, despair, like whatever the emotion is, doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative, it's emotion. When you're giving it to something external, some other person's idea, some other information, some news story, something that someone said, you're giving your emotion, right? That's your energy. That's sacred. Now, in Pisces season, it's about transcending, connecting to spirit, mystical, transcendental experiences, but it's also you connecting to spirit now. Spirit, divinity is sacred, and your energy is sacred. So start to treat it that way. Become the spiritual warrior that you are, and be damned if you're going to give your sacred emotional energy to things that aren't aligned to your highest good. And on that note, that's my video. So if you want to get a one-on-one personal reading, reach out. If you want to, I am doing a new advanced or intermediate course on transits and progressions. So some more information on that is coming. But if you want to leave a comment and let me know how you're feeling down below, and hit the like button and do all those wonderful things that you do here on the interspace of YouTube and beyond, that'd be appreciated. Until next time, peace out.